This video is a reconstruction based on the May 31st rehearsal for the June 1st meeting. And as a result, it doesn't include Dennis Bell's presentation that was made on June 1st. And the question and answer session was based on the participants that raised questions during the rehearsal session and not the actual questions that were posed on June 1st. But I think you'll find them interesting and worthwhile listening to. Thank you.
All right. I want to welcome everybody to Rossmoor Emergency Preparedness Organization's June meeting. And the title of this meeting is CERT is Activated. Now what, EPO? The original intent of this joint meeting when the EPO board set the schedule ahead was for us to have a physical visit to the Gateway Cache for CERT. Obviously, given the COVID public health emergency, we're not able to do that. So the goal of this meeting is to provide our coordinators and their teams with information on how CERT sets up a command post and gets itself activated, and what EPO's response locally needs to be in order to communicate injuries, structural damage, and blocked accesses to CERT through our FRS radios. I'd like to introduce our wonderful panelists today. We have Area CERT Coordinator Marcia McLean. We have Christine Monson and Amal Molik, our FRS EPO team. We have Hal Kadosh, the CERT Comms Chief. We have Ralph Athenium, our new manager. We have Harris Greenberg, who is our Zoom Meister and basic cat herder, I think. And then Dennis Bell, who's Chief of the Rossmoor Public Safety. So welcome to everybody. Just a quick announcement, as you watch the television, seems like all of America's one wild weekend away from falling off the cliff, but we don't know how long the COVID-19 stay-at-home lockdown is going to be. We need to remind our residents we're moving into a new phase. I know that Tim O'Keefe tells me he'll be personally emphasizing that we hold as residents the personal responsibility for our personal risk management decisions. For instance, do I go to a dine-in restaurant now? Do I go to a movie theater? So all those decisions are ahead for us. And let's turn it over to our Zoom Meister, the person who best herds cats for EPO. That would be our Harris Greenberg, and he's going to give us some Zoom rules to help us negotiate this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fran. This is the ground rules for today's meeting. We expect to have a lot of people here, so to avoid confusion, we've automatically muted everybody's microphone except for the speakers, and we'll ask you to stay muted. So that, and also want to ask you to keep, if you're not a presenter, we want to keep your videos off, so only the presenters are visible. And as Fran just mentioned, use the chat control in Zoom to submit your questions. And Ralph Anthenian will be watching all the chat questions, and you'll summarize them and direct them to the presenters at the appropriate time. This meeting is being recorded, and a copy of the video will be available on the EPO website.
All right, thank you, Harris. Dennis is here, and I kidded him and told him to please bring any crystal ball he might have on when the lockdown will be over. So I would like to turn now and ask Dennis if you'd give us an update on the GRF COVID-19 response, and hopefully you did bring your crystal ball with you. Can you predict the length of the lockdown? Dennis, welcome. So Dennis does his thing.
After Dennis Bell speaks, our agenda will be in 4 parts. Fran Gibson, the president of Rossmoor EPO, will describe EPO and its functions in relationship to CERT. Then Marcia McLean, the Rossmoor CERT area coordinator, will provide information about the history of CERT and how it works in coordination with EPO, and also show a video of CERT. Al Kadosh, the CERT Communications Co-Chief, will outline some of our coordinator and team responses to CERT being active after CERT is activated by the city of Walnut Creek. And then Christine Monson and Amal Mullick, our EPO radio communications team, will talk about the goals and how our FRS communications work. And now I'm going to hand it over to Fran.
Let me give my new Rossmore coordinators a little bit of background on our history of our organization. Following the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, the GRF board established a committee called Rossmore Resident Emergency Preparedness Organization, otherwise known as REPO. Volunteer Jerry Prebad established our wonderful concept of entry coordinators and radio communication operators, and that model serves us well today. The GRF board weighed the liability issues and decided an in-house committee was a little risky, and that's when Rossmore EPO was born. We operate outside the governance of GRF. Around this time, Walnut Creek started its first city CERT program, and Dennis Bell joined GRF to manage our public safety office. And the three partners, CERT, EPO, and GRF, began building stronger collegial stakeholder relationships with each other. Currently, there are 288 entries in Rossmore, including streets, and we have about 400 EPO members. We need to remember as EPO coordinators that we are always activated. We're never inactivated. Rossmore has 14 miles of streets, 6,500 homes, public buildings, 10,000 people, 200 staff here every day. Needless to say, CERT with its 100 wonderful members and EPO with its 400 members, no one of us can do it alone. We are needed. I want to call attention to the guidebook just quickly, our coordinator's guidebook for those of you who are new to our operation, to our organization. The guidebook on page 3 reminds coordinators and teams that we are the link between our residents. We are it. We're the eyes and ears. We know intimately the special needs and challenges and possible solutions to help prepare our residents for a coming disaster. And the guidebook tells us that basically throughout the year, 24/7, 365, our job is to, quote, help our neighbors prepare for an emergency, know how they're doing, what they need when a disaster strikes, and to be able to communicate their condition and status to CERT, who communicates with professional first responders. We obviously do this with our wonderful Saturday call-in protocol training. This has been going on for almost 10 years, which is amazing. And it's still going strong with Chris and Amal's team every morning. This gives you new people, gives new coordinators and their FRS operators a chance to check in to see if your equipment's working and can you practice reporting in. Control, this is Fran, Terra Granada Drive, entry 16. We encourage you to cross-train. I don't know about you, but my pod, in times when travel was half of us are gone most of the summer. So we cross-train. We have everybody trained in how to operate an FRS radio. We encourage you to get backup assistant operators. The guidebook on page 7 encourages you to finance if you haven't bought your FRS system yet. Ask your project or your mutual to pay for it and label it project, mutual property. In fact, in that case it is. But if they will help you pay, great. You can also ask for resident donations. So, that's when Rossmore area CERT is not activated. We are working year-round. We keep Rossmore ready and resilient. We are, as the CDC says, the true first responders in a neighborhood. So that's what happens when Rossmore area is not activated. Things begin to change very differently when CERT is activated. We have a far different role for our coordinators and their teams. We need in those first critical hours of an area-wide major disaster. You'll be receiving resident team self-reports and FRS reports on Channel 8. We wait to hear CERT is activated on Channel 8, and as Marcia will relay, it could take Rossmore CERT here possibly an hour or more to fully set up command posts to begin to receive our entry reports. It's very important. As coordinators, we use those hours to check in on the status of our residents. Many of us have organized our local teams into building monitors and captains, and they spread out and bring a report back. That report gets communicated to CERT through the FRS radios. And if your entry is okay, we're going to ask you to wait to report in. But we want to emphasize, yes, you do need to report into CERT eventually. If you have an okay entry with no major injuries, no major blockages, no major structural damage. Wait, so those of us with entries with major damage can get the report in first. We also ask you to call in and report descriptively. None of us, unless we have a medical or a nursing degree, probably know how to diagnose a medical situation. That's not our job in EPO. Our job is to report descriptively who, what, and where. So do not turn your radio off after you've called in. Wait so you can provide CERT and other their first responders with any critical information if it's needed. We want to remind you you don't use channels 9 through 14. We interfere with CERT's critical operations by doing so. So it's clear to me that reporting an entry or street status into CERT, want to encourage you to not see that as guaranteeing that help will come, and Marcia will have more to say about that. It does get the information over to the first responders so they have the best shot at triaging and getting help for us. So CERT needs us, we need CERT. It's just that simple. Our missions, our training, our organizational structure differs enormously, as it should. It is incumbent that we keep in mind that we have 70,000 people in Walnut Creek alone. If there's a major area disaster, the city is responsible for 70,000 people. 10,000 of those people are us here. So we need the first response entry status from EPO. We are key to what happens. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our Rossmore Area Coordinator, Marcia McLean. Good morning, Marcia.
Good morning, Fran, and thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you all for coming. A lot of people really don't know what CERT is. CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team, and the concept of CERT was developed and implemented originally in 1985 by the Los Angeles City Fire Department, and they used that. And then there was the Mexico City earthquake also in 1985, and during that time there were lots and lots of volunteers who wanted to help. Unfortunately, they weren't trained, so in effect there were over 100 people who were untrained who died trying to help. So then after that, the city of Los Angeles put together a pilot program, and then they kind of developed how it would work with the neighborhoods. In October of '87, the Whittier Narrows earthquake happened, and that was a huge, major disaster. So the city of Los Angeles, once again, took an aggressive role in protecting the citizens of LA by creating disaster preparedness zones, which were then, the whole objective was to educate and train the public and government sectors in disaster preparedness, to research, evaluate, and disseminate disaster information, develop, train, and maintain a network of community emergency response teams. I'm getting feedback. Is everybody else getting that as well? No, okay. Well, so in 1993, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, decided to make the concept and program available to communities nationwide. The Emergency Management Institute, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Fire Department, expanded CERT's materials to make them all applicable. As of November 2011, 50 states, 3 territories, and 6 foreign countries are using CERT and the CERT training. So what exactly is CERT training? What exactly does it do? So what it does is it is like paying for car insurance. Why have it? Well, because you may never need it, either you hope not to, but if the occasion arises, having CERT training is just like having car insurance, meaning you're always ready as you can to help out yourself, your family, and your neighborhood. The CERT training program is approximately 20 hours, a 7-week thing, during which we are covered with disaster preparedness, fire, basic disaster medical operations, light search and rescue, and team operators. The training also includes a disaster simulation in which participants practice skills that they learn throughout the course. CERT teams remain active in the community before the disaster strikes, and they also do sponsoring events such as drills, neighborhood cleanups, and disaster education fair. Trainers often periodic refresher sessions to CERT members to reinforce the basic skills and to keep participants involved and practice their skills. That was a lot of words. So at this point, FEMA has put together a short film that really tells you what CERT is all about. It's obviously they couldn't make it tailored to everything, but this really gives you the overall thing. So at this point, I'd like to show you the film.
Communities are susceptible to many types of disasters. Some, such as floods, earthquakes, tornadoes, and hurricanes, are natural, while others, such as nuclear power plant disasters and hazardous materials emergencies, are man-made. Some parts of the country will experience disasters that others will never see, like mudslides, winter storms, and volcanoes, while others, like flooding or windstorms, can strike most anywhere. When disaster strikes, emergency services personnel will respond immediately. We count on their training and equipment to handle these situations. However, depending on the impact, emergency responders may not be able to quickly get to everyone who needs help. That's where community emergency response teams come in. CERTs are trained to search for and rescue people who might be trapped, to provide basic medical assistance, to put out small fires, and to handle other small incidents before more injuries or damage occur. By using the skills and knowledge they learned in training, CERT members in a neighborhood, workplace, school, or other location can work as a team to help themselves and others until professional help arrives. That's what CERT is all about, making a difference when it is needed the most. We call it doing the greatest good for the greatest number.
Okay. Wow. That was a storm, huh?
Yeah, scary too.
Yeah, it sure was. Honey, would you check the lights?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. How's everybody doing?
I'm scared.
I know, honey. It's gonna be all right.
You okay?
I'm okay.
I think the winds have died down. I'm gonna check the house out, make sure everything's okay, then I gotta get my search stuff and go meet the team. So you guys know where your go kits are? Mm-hmm. All right. We're gonna get those, we're gonna meet out front, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, sweetie. A lot of shingles are down, a lot of big tree limbs, but other than that, I think we were lucky. House looks okay, it looks safe. Obviously the power's out, and I checked the phones, the dial tone's out too, so wires are down somewhere. Got your cell?
Yep, got it.
And?
Got 3 bars.
Good.
I'll call my sister.
Why are you calling me Kathy?
Because she's our out-of-state contact, so anytime anything happens here, we call her to let her know we're okay. And anytime anything happens there, she calls us.
Okay, makes sense.
Well, the house is safe, so we can go back in, okay? I'm gonna get my CERT gear, meet the rest of the team. Hey, listen, I don't know where those wires are down, so I want you guys to stay inside. I don't want anyone to get hurt, okay?
Okay, Daddy.
Yes. Hey, Joe.
Oh, hey, Bart, how are you?
All right.
Good.
How's everybody at your place?
We're all right. Shaking up a little bit. It's a mess,
Yeah.
but we're okay. We were lucky.
Good.
You okay?
Yeah, we're all right, but I noticed coming over, Peterson's at 1422 and the Parchman's at 1424. Their places got hit by a fallen tree.
Ah, boy.
Peterson's roof was damaged, and the Parchment's deck is just totally crushed.
Wow. Everybody okay? Everybody out of there?
Yeah, Rita's pretty shook up,
I bet.
but she's not hurt.
I bet we'll find more. Let's go
Yeah.
over to the
Yeah,
meeting
let's
place,
get
huh?
going. Hope it's still there.
Yeah, sure do. Check down the other side. Get rid of this branch. Gonna blow off and hit somebody. Ah, come on. I don't think this area got hit like we did.
No, it doesn't look like it. I think it looks pretty good. All the posts seem sound. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Good command post.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Barb.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Our family's fine. House was okay.
Yeah, ours too. How about you?
Well, we lost some shingles.
Yeah.
The trash cans are probably history. You know, walking over here, you know the gas station on Wallace? The roof that's over the gas pumps? Blowing down on the road. All mangled and twisted up. Pretty bad.
So how about the people there? Everybody okay?
No, nobody's hurt. The manager put traffic cones out around the roof that's on Wallace Road so people can see it.
Okay, good. That's good. Hey, Mary
Hi,
Lou.
everybody.
Hey.
I'm surprised this place is even still standing.
Yeah,
huh?
sorry.
Listen, sorry I'm late. I passed a minor car crash down the street.
Anybody hurt there?
Drivers and passengers are fine, no pedestrians involved. So who's in charge here? You got here first.
Joe and I got here first. Joe, you've had lots more service experience than I have. I just finished training. Why don't you take the lead?
I can do that.
Man, those winds were pretty rough, weren't they?
You better believe it.
Wow. Hey, Wayne.
Hey guys,
How are you, Wayne?
How you guys doing?
I'm just donning the leadership stripe here.
Excellent.
So my suggestion is we keep this as the command post. It's structurally sound. There's a roof in case the rains come back, and it's centrally located in the neighborhood. That all right with everybody?
That works for me.
Good.
All right, we're just getting to talking about what everybody's seen. So Mary Lou saw a car crash.
Right, a car and a pickup truck actually at 4th and Berkeley. Just bumps and bruises, really. Everybody's okay, and they're not blocking traffic. When I left, they were exchanging information, seemed pretty calm.
Okay, good. And what else? Bob, you saw the twisted roof of the gas station.
Yeah, that was at Wallace and 13th. It seems to be all under control, and traffic can't get around the roof.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay.
We've had that leaking propane grill that we saw,
Right.
and there were some down power lines.
Right.
And we ought to really go back and check the Parchment's gas lines.
It's a really good
Here's the
idea.
detail.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Hey Viv.
Hey, did you see the damage down at the community center?
No.
A tree fell on it. It looks like some limbs went through the roof and a big window. There are people there day and evening, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are injuries.
I think the priority has to be the community center. Vivian, you take Bob and Mary Lou down there. You'll be in charge. All right, I think you're right about the gas lines at 1424 Windsor, too. Barb, you and Wayne head over there on your way to the community center, all right? Wayne, you take the lead there.
All right.
Viv, can you have information back in 20 minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, terrific. Don't forget, write down everything you do and everything you see so we can get a good status report to the professionals when they get here. All right, thanks, everybody.
Wow, what a mess. All right, let's take a look at the exterior first. Mary Lou, Bob, I want you to go to the right. Wayne, Barbara, I want you to go to the left.
Okay.
I'll stay here. Let me know what you see. And stick with your buddies and meet back here in 5 minutes. Everything clear?
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
Electrical box there.
All clear.
Look at that tree. It's on the roof and windows. Something.
Wait, listen. Do you hear it? There's people. I can hear people. There's people.
Yeah, I agree. I hear some voices there.
All right, listen, we need to go tell them.
Uh-oh, there's some smoke in here.
Locked. Let's get back and report.
Hey, all right. What'd y'all see? It is a mess back there. We saw that big tree. It's up against the building, and there's a big broken window. We could hear people inside. They're calling for help, but I couldn't tell you how many. Okay, all right, thanks. And what about y'all?
Debris also, but through a window back there, we saw a lot of smoke.
Okay, it sounds like we're gonna need to go in. I want you to stay in your pairs, and I want you to use all caution. Use a right-hand search pattern. I want you all to use a left-hand search pattern. I'll stay up here and set up a triage area and just track what everybody's doing. Everybody okay with that plan? Okay. All right. Good luck.
I'll let them know we're here.
Community Emergency Response Team, if you can hear me, come to the sound of my voice.
Hi, I'm Walter, and this is Becky. We saw you over here. Can we help?
Yeah, my name is Vivian, and I'm from this neighborhood's Community Emergency Response Team. We've been trained by the fire department to help out when, the professionals haven't arrived yet. Do either one of you have any medical experience?
Sure, I worked as an EMT in college.
Okay, what about you?
Putting Band-Aids on my 3-year-old grandson, but that's about it, sorry.
Okay, we can use all the help we can get. Do you live nearby?
Right over here.
Okay, do you have any blankets you could spare?
Sure do.
All right, why don't you run home and grab them, and then just come on back here and you can help with the minor injuries.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Okay, Becky, so we're gonna go ahead and set up a triage area. We're gonna put the minor injuries here. The more serious ones we're gonna put here. The ones that need immediate attention we're gonna put right here so that the EMS has immediate access to them. Do you have any questions?
No questions, I got it.
Okay, thanks.
Smoke right over here.
Fire. Bernadette, I tried to put the fire out on the
We
stove.
got a fire.
Extinguisher
See if you can grab the extinguisher.
Storm hit.
Sir, can you walk with me?
Are you in charge?
Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm in a lot of pain. I think I hurt my arm and shoulder.
Okay.
Can you help me?
Yes, I can. My name is Vivian. I'm part of the Community Emergency Response Team, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to put this piece of tape on you. Just identifies your injuries and the severity of them.
Sure.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, Becky, why don't you come on over here and help me? She's hurt her arm. Why don't you take her over to the delayed section and check her out?
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
I know you are. I know the storm is over.
Oh, what happened?
The windstorm is over.
Oh. I've been trying to call the fire department.
I know you have. I'm your neighbor here. We're here to help you.
How are you doing?
We tested here.
Good thinking.
Okay, going in.
Going in.
Hey, I think the fire's out. Backing up.
Backing out. Let's give it a sec to make sure it's all the way out.
Call those people.
Let's go get him.
Okay, let's get this guy here on the floor here first. You know, talk to him at all? Just the airway. I'm getting some breast sounds here now. Check the perfusion here. All right. Here too. Little slow perfusion. Sir, can you squeeze my hand? Sir, you can't follow simple commands. He's an immediate.
Another guy over here, you know.
All right, I hear.
Right there.
We'll be there in a moment. Do you know what happened?
The tree came from nowhere. Let's raise this.
All right.
In all of a sudden.
Sir, what's your name?
I'm Irvin. It's bleeding. It hurts.
We're gonna make a delay, all right? All right, we'll be back to you, sir.
I'm doing it. It's pretty bad. Okay, well, how are you? Yeah, I'm just scratched and bruised and shook up. Okay, take care of him. Yeah.
We're gonna try right now.
Okay.
Look at him. All right? You got any injuries? Your head? Oh, your head looks pretty bad. Now that looks like it's trapped in there. Since severe bleeding on the lower leg, we're gonna make him an immediate. You doing all right here?
Hey guys, how can we help?
Just in time. Listen, we have 2 people here that we need to move out immediately. This man, we're gonna need a blanket or a stretcher. If you could go out and try to find something, and then we'll take this boy out on that chair. And while you're out there, please report to Vivian how many injured we have. This man is delayed, and then this woman just has minor injuries. In fact, if you could take these 2 folks out with you, that would be helpful. Sure.
You got it.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this right here on your shoulder, and I want to give you some water. Thirsty? Oh, so glad to be out. Hi, what do you have here?
A minor.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and set her up either against the wall or on the ground? What do we have here?
Irvin here has a left arm injury. He's delayed.
Okay, I want you to set him up right over here, either on the ground or against the wall.
We've got 2 more immediates inside. I've got a blanket.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and take Wayne back in there and go ahead and collect him. All right. Thank you.
All right, they're back with the blanket. Wayne, why don't you take control of the head and take command, please?
Folks, let's get the blanket down. Bob, if you would get his arms.
All right.
Pretty good with the blanket. 1, 2, 3.
No further injuries on the back.
Okay, on my count. 1, 2, 3. Nice. All right, I'm gonna come around. Right, you're on his body. Everybody got a good grip? Okay, everybody ready to lift? 1, 2, 3.
Let's go out.
Let's take him out feet first.
Put him right down here.
All right. right over
All right,
here.
yep,
On my
exactly.
count, down on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Great. All right. Anything left inside?
Yeah, we got one more inside. Bob will report. Barbara and I are going to go in.
We came across him. He was unresponsive. We adjusted his airway. He started breathing a lot better. He has an obvious serious head wound, but he's going into shock, we believe. His perfusion was kind of weak. We're going to put him in a shock position.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'll go ahead and do an assessment myself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check you, just to see if you have any further injuries. I'm just checking to see if you're bleeding anywhere else.
Nice job.
You
Good job, buddy.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's get those hands in your lap. Yeah. And then we're going to tilt you back. Okay. Barbara, you ready for a lean? All right, tilting back. 1, 2, 3. Go lift on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
And right here. And 1, 2, 3, down. And 1, 2, 3, forward. Nice. Okay. Will, we're going to put you on this blanket right over here on your left. Okay. You ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, Barbara and I are going to grab you. We're going to get a good grip on you. We'll tell you when we're ready to go. Okay. On 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Nice job, you guys. What do we have here, Wayne?
Will here, we need to get him out here immediately, and he's got a head injury. You can see a little bit of glass in his head right there, and he's got a left leg injury.
Okay, thanks.
The building's clear, and we're going to go ahead and start helping these guys work on these guys right here.
Will, I'm just going to check you out here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to put my hands on your head. Okay. And I'm just checking for other injuries. We need to deliver some reports to the command post. What do you have for me? Okay, we went through the entire community center. Bob and I found one room with heavy damage to the ceiling. Didn't even look safe to go in there. And there's one room that's locked. We tried it, we called, we didn't get any answer, but we were not able to go inside. Okay, Wayne, what do you have for me?
Barbara and I went to 1424 Windsor. Bad storm damage. We shut the gas off. Here's my documentation.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give it to Mary Lou? Here's the report for the 8 triage victims, and this is a current report. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and up there, and then just come on back when you finished your report. Alrighty, I will. Is there anything we need? Nope, that's it. I'll see you guys as soon as I can. Wayne, why don't you go ahead and mark the building as searched, and we'll go ahead and continue to attend to the victims.
We'll do.
All right.
I'll mark it right here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for checking in. Okay, I got it. Hi, Mary Lou.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, how's it going there?
We have one room with heavy damage in the ceiling. We can't even enter there.
Right.
And we do have one room that's locked to get inside.
Okay.
And 8 victims in our triage area, 2 immediates, and then 3 delayed and 3 minor.
All right, all right.
Okay, Barb and Wayne turned off the gas at one house.
That's
I've
good.
got the addresses for the 2 places they checked and some information from Vivian. Okay, and here's my stuff, but I'm gonna head back down to the community center.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mary Lou. I'm gonna call in those 2 immediates right now.
I'll send that down there.
Oh, hey, Aaron.
Joe.
Denise, nice to meet you.
I'm Joe. I'm the CERT leader here. I'm gonna give you the report, okay? We got incidental damage around the community, but we've been really focused on the community center. We've searched it all except for 2 rooms that are inaccessible to us. One has ceiling damage, and the other one's locked. We can't get in. We got 8 victims in triage. 2 immediates I've already called in, but we've also got 3 delayed and 3 minors. I'll take you over there now. I got these forms for you.
Are there any patients in the 2 inaccessible rooms?
We don't know.
Okay.
Glad you guys are here.
Community emergency response team members are trained to help themselves and others after a disaster. Until professional help arrives, CERTs work together, providing basic medical assistance, putting out small fires, searching for and rescuing people who are trapped, acting as the eyes and ears for professional responders. By doing the greatest good for the greatest number, they make a difference when it is needed the most.
So thank you all for viewing the film. Actually, that film is really designed just to give you an overall opinion, an overall view of what CERT is like. And here in Rossmore, we have a really unique situation. And I think Fran went over that, of the over 10,000 residents who live and over 400 entries. The entry coordinators are the eyes and ears that provide information to CERT via your FSS radio, so that when the real first responders come, they will know where their help is needed. It's hoped that the first CERTs that get to the command post will be ham operators who will be able to establish communications from both of the Emergency Operations Control Center in Walnut Creek, as well as communicate with the coordinators using their FRS radios. And I think at this point, just a quick thing is that if you necessarily don't want to take the CERT training and you're very happy being an entry coordinator, or you'd like something else to do, everything that happens in CERT is written down so that we have a record of what's happening. So we need people who are scribes. That means they can print legibly. Remember yourself when you were in primary school and how you had to print carefully. So we can certainly train you to be scribes for that. So if you have any questions, write them down, please, in the chat room, chat square, and we will give you the answers today. And if we can't get them today, we will email them to you after the Zoom meeting. And at this point, Al, take it away.
Okay, so as entry coordinators, the question is, why reach out to CERT? And the answer is that during the first few hours, or possibly days after a catastrophe, the EMS and the first responders will be overwhelmed. There wouldn't be enough police or firefighters to attend to every need. So that's where CERT members come in. They're sworn in as volunteer disaster service workers for the city of Walnut Creek. They are trained to work together to safely respond to the needs of the neighborhoods following a disaster, and to serve as the eyes and ears of the city's Emergency Operations Center and first responders. And you know what, in this sentence, I've indicated work together to safely respond. So this is important because as CERTs, we are asked not to do anything that will possibly be harmful to us, such as going into a compromised building after an earthquake, or trying to take care of a rather large fire, or during triage, for example, not to begin CPR. And we can always explain that at a later date. So as entry coordinators, what can we expect from CERT? Well, you have to remember that the residents in your entry will reach out to you on their FRS radios on channels 8, reporting emergencies. You'll be monitoring communications on your FRS radio on channel 8. But once CERT is activated, you will be transmitting those messages on channels either 12 or 13 by calling control, indicating your name, and then waiting to be recognized. And finally, transmitting the who, what, where of the emergency. Depending on the nature of the emergency, CERT may activate an appropriate team to address it. So the question is, when is CERT activated? One of the easiest and fastest answer to this one is anytime that there is an earthquake of 10 seconds or greater, CERT is automatically activated. But the longer answer is Rossmore ham radio operators at the communications command post, because we're having a better range than the FRS radio operators, we monitor communications from the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center in Walnut Creek. The EOC, they are the ones that direct who is activated and when, depending on the nature and the location of the disaster. So ham radio operators at the communications command post also communicate to the EOC the nature and extent of our crises here in Rossmore, so they can evaluate where resources would be most helpful. And to illustrate this a bit better, where do FRS emergency messages go? That's a question that some entry coordinators might be asking. And to illustrate that, we have this flow chart indicating that messages are received at the communications command post. They are printed legibly and they are passed on to another section of the command post called plans. Plans prioritizes the urgency of the messages and passes the messages to another section called operations. So depending on the nature of the emergencies, operations will then activate either a medical operations team, a search and rescue team, an animal response team, or whatever is appropriate to address the emergencies. So now Christina Namal will review why FRS operators are the critical link during an emergency.
Thank you, Al. Good morning to everyone. And by this time, if you have not already guessed, FRS operators are the critical link that allow entry coordinators to communicate to the CERT command post. But before I say my little piece here, I just want to say the fact that we have FRS radio operators and the way to link the two halves, CERT and EPO during an emergency, is due to the incredible dedication work of setting up these networks and training FRS operators that John Trenterud and Steve Adza have done almost as long as EPO has been in existence. So everything we say today about FRS operators is built on that foundation that they have laid through their constant work with you. Saturday calls are our current training. That's the way we practice every week to make sure that we will be able to do what's required in an emergency. For those of you who practice, channel 12, for those living north of Stanley Dollar Drive, channel 13, south of Stanley Dollar Drive. For the most part, we have about 30 to 40 people calling in between 12 and 13. And most people, through this training, through their constant practice, are pretty adept at identifying themselves with their first name, street, and entry number. What I'd like to see more of is that some people, or people spend a little bit more time on the network getting familiar with all the different voices in that particular network. And what that does is it allows people to hear who is having trouble getting through so they can relay. They can actually take that call and pass it on. This is a wonderful thing to practice on Saturday mornings, but it's critical in an emergency because of the topography of Rossmore, hills and dales and all kinds of foliage. Not everybody can get through easily. The other thing is that we need the experience to deal with pileups when several people talk together at the same time. This is something that's going to happen. So I need the practice as your control operator to deal with people calling at the same time. And you also need to know that it's not the end of the world. People can take turns. Also a very critical thing during an emergency. The other thing we'd really like to see is more people volunteering to help us so that our voices are not essential to the operation of this network. It's the communication, it's the protocol. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Christine, who will discuss training needs.
Here I come from outer space. Hi, good morning, and thank you for tuning in to this Zoom EPO meeting. We've heard a lot today. We've heard of the 24/7, 365 of the EPO coordinators. We've heard what happens with CERT when they get activated and when they don't get activated. And Amal and I have been doing this just since Fran roped us into it. And what we would like to know from you is whether you call in on Saturday morning, and I know a lot of you have been trained thanks to John and Steve, but you're not calling in on Saturday mornings. So the question is, why? Do you need one-on-one assistance? Have you forgotten how to use your FRS radio? Do you need to change the batteries because it's been so long since you've used it? Our goal really is to have a large group of people trained to use their FRS radios to help out in an emergency, because EPO coordinators are going to be busy. CERT is going to be busy. And the link between those two is the FRS radio, so that the entry coordinators can get what their needs are to CERT, so that CERT can figure out how best to address those needs and to alert first responders if it's beyond their capabilities. So Saturday mornings are a time to practice how to use your radio. But the big question is, okay, you know how to call in and say, this is Christine, Cactus Cord Entry 4. Hopefully you stay on, as Amal said. Do you know how to change to channel 8? Do you know how to change to channel 13 if you happen to be in that part of Rossmore? And that would be a better way of communicating to CERT command. So what do you need to be able to feel comfortable and prepared to communicate with CERT? Do you work with, or do you even know your entry coordinator? They change over time. And if you don't know who your entry coordinator is, we can get that information to you so that you can begin to work with them. That's important because if you have 5 radios on one entry and all 5 operators call in the same incident, that means 4 other people can't call in. And so you need to coordinate so that you're not using more bandwidth in an emergency than you need to use. We want to know your specific training needs, whether you need one-on-one assistance, which we're happy to provide, whether you have ideas for Zoom training that we can do, or training that we can do once we're all unlocked and can hold hands again. So please send us your ideas. We've set up a special email address for EPO communications. It's epocomms@gmail.com. So please send us your ideas, send us your needs. If you don't remember how to use your FRS radio, send that to us. We'll find the owner's manual for you online and help you walk through it. This is important because it's not just something fun to do on Saturday morning. And I'm sort of weird. I used to listen in for half an hour because I liked hearing voices. But in an emergency, you're the critical link. If you have an FRS operator, or if you're an EPO coordinator, or if you're a CERT member. So please join us in practice on Saturday mornings and let us know what your needs are so that we can help address them.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a number of questions from you, and I'll pose them in a few minutes. We have one question that asks, how many residents have FRS radios to call in to entry coordinators, and how do we check on them who don't? Somebody like to answer that?
We don't know. We don't know how many FRS operators are out there. Third Mutual did a poll. Harris Greenberg worked on that with Third Mutual, and we're thinking of doing that for all the EPO members, but we don't know.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question is, do I need to be a CERT as well as an entry coordinator?
I can answer that, and absolutely not. You know, it's great if you want to be CERT. However, the first choice is for you to be entry coordinators to help us in first response. And we're trying to do a thing as well as, you know, how many entry coordinators are there? How many CERT? I mean, if you looked at the Golden Reigns emergency preparedness document, it talks about being different zones of Rossmore. So one of the things that CERT has done is identified in each one of those zones where there's CERT so that we can help when we need to be something done. And that will be the same thing that EPO will, once we know how many entry coordinators there are, we'll be able to input them into this same grid of what are the zones to do that. So we're working very hard to do that. And if, for example, you are not an entry coordinator, but you'd like to be one, I'm sure that Fran would be ecstatic to do that. If you're an entry coordinator and you can't be one, I'm sure that Fran would like to know that as well. So I hope that answered your question.
Great, thank you very much. Another good question. Do CERTs provide police support or traffic control for all people leaving Rossmore?
I can answer that. We have in the past, we have not been trained lately, and that's one of the things that we had planned on doing before COVID. So we will definitely be able to help with traffic. When they did, there was an evacuation of an area just as a test thing, and CERT was there just to provide information. So one of the things that Walnut Creek CERT wants to do is to get us to train in that.
Thank you very much. Another question is, what should I be doing as an entry coordinator while I'm waiting for help for CERT or first responders? Over.
Maybe I can answer that. And the question is, what should you as an entry coordinator can be doing while you're waiting for CERT to come to your rescue, basically? Is that correct?
That's correct.
You can be jotting down the information, participants of all the residents that are calling in questions, so that when you get an answer from CERT, because CERT is going to be overwhelmed with the number of people calling in, reporting emergencies, you could be writing down or jotting down the who, what, and where, so that when you are finally getting through to the FRS radio at the command post, you can indicate the message as detailed as possible. That's what you could be doing in the interim.
And I might add, Al, as well, as that as an entry coordinator, you may be busy checking on your neighbors to see how they are. So possibly having somebody else who just has the FRS radio who you can talk with and say, okay, this is what we need you to do, so that you're not tied up for the entire time.
That's very good. I have another question. I don't have a radio. How does the entry coordinator check on myself and my husband?
Well, I think Marcia sort of answered that question, but not every resident is going to have a radio to tell their entry coordinator what's happening to them. There's a team here. It's not one entry coordinator does everything. There will be delegation. There will be other people looking at their nearest neighbors and reporting back to their entry coordinator if it's a large entry. If it's a small entry, once the entry coordinator makes sure that they and their immediate unit is safe, then they will go and gather that information by checking on neighbors. So while some entries have a lot of FRS radio operators that check into their entry coordinator, that's not the case for smaller entries.
Yes, I wanted to add on that too. In fact, this was a good question from Anne Marie. We have a rather large, unique entry, if you call it. We have 233 residences, but it starts with our residents. They put out a sign that says okay or help. So immediately we can only focus on the ones that say either help or there is no sign up there. And we have teams that will go through the houses checking on them. And we have, those teams have radios to then communicate the essential portions down to the command post. So we have our own internal checking and prioritizing in that regard.
Rossmore is unique in that we have all these entries and we have all these people and we have a limited number of people. So having the entry coordinators or the FRS radios respond to what's happening helps us greatly. And it's been something that our previous administration with Colleen and John and I have worked on it, and I'm happy that we're working it with Fran, so that this type of a thing is a very beginning to be able to work together. So we don't expect you to know everything, to know what's happening, and neither do we, but we need your help and your feedback, because the bottom line is we are here to serve the most amount of people in the shortest period of time.
I could not agree more with what Marcia is saying. Let's continue to build the relationship with CERT and to educate our EPO coordinators and their radio operators on the easiest, best, clearest, most productive way to get the information to CERT.
So we've given you a wealth of information this morning. There's information about CERT, the FEMA video of CERT in action. We have a copy of this presentation will appear in the resident resources section of the EPO website. We've given you the CERT website in case you want to join and go through those many hours of training to join CERT. And if you have any questions, if you don't know who your entry coordinator is, Fran Gibson is the person to email. If you want to know more about CERT, please contact Marcia. Her email is there. If you want to talk to Amal or I about training or anything about FRS radios, email us at EPOcomms @gmail. And if you want to talk to Al, who knows a lot about both FRS radios and ham radios, then Al is the person to talk to. So thank you for tuning in this morning. Please be safe, wear a mask, and social distance.